This game is kind of odd. It might as well just be a base plate with a nice coat of paint, but it's more than that. It's special. You can do whatever you want with the highest level of freedom and creativity. You can do all of this genuinely cool stuff without the game screaming at you to buy things, or having to waste your life away leveling up. But it goes further. Something that this game is really good at is being a testing ground for the most ridiculous and insane experiments you could possibly think of. Maybe it's 100 people doing mass deforestation. Maybe it's 200 people leveling the equivalent of a city block. Or maybe even a group of the bravest people you've ever seen, working together to stop something that we once thought was unstoppable. Whatever it may be, you can almost always give it a try. Around 8 months into TSB's life cycle, September 16th, 2023 to be exact, I had an idea. On this fateful day, we were graced with this. This button was the start of something historic. It would allow me to perform my largest experiment ever. But little did I know, this button would bring me immense pain and suffering. I hadn't ever experienced anything quite like that. In fact, it's quite the interesting story. It would definitely be a shame if nobody got to hear it. I'm gonna tell you a story. A story that you'll never hear from anyone else, ever. A story about how I started something so incredibly stupid, lost everything, and then came back over an entire year later to give it one last shot. These are trash cans. They seem like normal inanimate objects, and for the most part, they are. But they have a few quirks. You can pick them up and throw them at people, and they can be destroyed by different attacks. Usually they just appear around the map, but this update added a button that allowed you to spawn them anywhere you wanted. As soon as this button was introduced, my thoughts betrayed me. What would it be like to mess around in a map that's completely covered in destructible trash cans? The scale of the attacks in this game go beyond what you would initially expect from a Roblox game. It would be amazing to see what could happen. I couldn't get ahead of myself though, because this had the potential to be incredible, or to be an incredible failure. This was something that would truly be on a whole different level than any other project or experiment that I've ever tried. This is me, and this is the entire map. I'm like a little speck, almost as wide as a trash can. If that doesn't put the sheer scale of this project into perspective, I don't know what else will. This was going to be tough. I sat on this for a very long time. 5 entire months after I had the idea, on February 15th, 2024, was the day I finally mustered up the courage to start. I needed 2 things. First, the private servers plus Game Pass so I could use these. Yes, specifically removing only the trees was a thing, and I also needed an auto-clicker. Conveniently enough, I had both of those already, so it just came down to figuring out the best way to do this. When you clicked the spawn trash can button, it would place a trash can in front of you, but if you were walking forwards, it would end up being placed behind. I put my auto-clicker over the spawn trash can button and then walked forwards from one side of the map to the other. This actually worked, so I tried a few more rows. It was going good, but I noticed that it wasn't going to be free from human error. It wasn't going to be entirely even. Luckily, I had an undo button, just in case it got really bad. I kept going for around 6 hours, until I reached a point where I needed to test something that was probably the most crucial part of the entire project: the saving feature. At the time, build mode was pretty bad. It was very primitive, and we had a small number of features. One of those features was the ability to save whatever you had placed. I decided to stop and test the save feature before I made too much progress, because I still had a lingering feeling that there was some sort of limit that would screw me over later. I am so very glad I did that, because it did not save most of my work. Alright, so this is around maybe 6 hours of progress. If this isn't safe, I want 1 million Robux, dude. I spent way too much time on this. And now, if I click load build, everything should just load. I just lost so much progress. There it is, it's all loaded in. That's it, nothing else. With a ton of my progress gone, I decided to test the save system one more time, but this time, overnight. I thought there was a small chance that I would get lucky. I stayed there for a little bit longer placing trash cans, then I saved the build and went to sleep. I woke up the next day to the exact same problem.
Load build. Let's see what happens.
It looks to be the same. At least some of it saved. At least some of it saved. I'm still going to finish this. It was clear at that point that this would only be possible if I stayed in the server for the entire duration of this incredibly stupid project. After hours and hours, I finally made it back to where I was before. It already looked insane, but I was far from done. Instead of going from one side of the map to the other, I started filling in the edges of the map so everything would line up properly. This was by far the most tedious part of the entire thing, and a massive pain. The bigger pain, however, was how these trash cans started behaving. They started to slow down. As I was placing them, they weren't appearing at the same speed they were before. It was almost as if I was lagging. Every time I tried to place trash cans, my ping would slowly increase, resulting in them popping in at an incredibly slow rate. This made finding errors take so much longer. It also didn't help that when I wanted to fill in a spot that was blocked by a trash can, trying to pick up that trash can would only grab the cans around the one I actually wanted to grab. To say that this was an absolute nightmare is a massive understatement. Soon enough, I had around 50% of the map covered. It really was quite the sight, but it was not good enough. Not yet. As I kept placing trash cans, I started to worry. You see, it was the weekend. We were at the point where most of the community knew that TSB mostly updated on weekends, and it was due for another one any day at that point. I realized I might not actually get to finish this, because if there was an update, the game's servers would be shut down. That meant that I could lose all of my progress at any random point. But I had come so far, and I was not stopping. I really had no clue if the game would update or not, so my only choice was to leave the game running overnight and to check if everything was still there when I woke up. You might be wondering how I would go AFK without disconnecting. Going AFK and keeping a server open is actually pretty easy. All I had to do was install a program called TinyTask to move my character around automatically so I wouldn't disconnect. I decided to box myself in with build mode so I wouldn't interact with any of the trash cans, and then I would just sit in there until I woke up. Little did I know that this would be one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. I was trying to make my little AFK shelter so I could AFK overnight and continue the next day. I messed it up. Like there were gaps where I would escape, and I don't want to mess with anything over there. So I tried to close it up, but I had to undo spawn. I had to press the undo spawn button to get rid of the walls. And look at the button that's right under undo spawn. I was gonna take a chance and try to continue, because maybe what if the update never comes tomorrow? It's gonna load what I saved right when I started this. Looks like I was right. How crazy is that? I tried spawning the trash cans back, as I had been save spamming up until that point just in case, but of course it loaded in the same build from the day prior. I didn't know what to do, so I just left. Remember the game update that was gonna happen? It actually did, at 3 AM. On a Monday. The most unexpected time ever. I'm glad I didn't continue because the update would have ruined everything anyways. The only good thing that came from this was me being able to cover the update as soon as it came out because the trash can project kept me awake for so long. I had absolutely no motivation left at all, so I just didn't ever try to continue. And to make things even worse, a few months later, the new and improved build mode got added, but in the process, the spawn trash can button was taken out. This meant that I couldn't continue the project even if I wanted to. It was over. Or was it? The button was coming back. This was massive news. I would be able to get this done so much faster. The cherry on top was the fact that build mode now had multiple save slots with seemingly no limit, which meant that I could have the entire map covered in one slot, and still build whatever I wanted in another. Everything was lining up perfectly, but I couldn't confirm anything until the update had actually come out. The update had arrived, and it broke every record ever set ever. in history. But that doesn't matter here though, as I made some discoveries. First off, saving actually worked. Finally. And second off, the trash cans still started to lag after a certain point, so I'd still have to deal with that. And of course, right as I was going to start the project back up again, it's back. Okay. I've prepared myself for every possible outcome, and I was not going to ignore this project any longer. I was done fooling around. I knew exactly what I needed to do, and exactly how to do it. So instead of placing each trash can individually, I can clone them over and over, and eventually I'll have enough to where I can just do this in like an hour, I guess. There. So now I'm going to take this, clone, and then I should be able to drag it to where it's just about equal. And just like that, I've doubled the size. And now if I want to clone it again, I guess I'll just keep going. My plan was now in motion, but of course I immediately ran into problems. The trash cans started to lag again, but instead of making my ping gradually increase like last time, they made my ping freeze. This is a problem because when your ping freezes, you're put on a timer before Roblox automatically kicks you out of the game. I found out the hard way as I was getting started. No way, so I knew I had to handle this differently. Instead of cloning big sections that froze me for too long, I would limit myself to smaller sections. But this isn't the only issue caused by the lag. Since I was getting kicked out for cloning too many trash cans at a time, how would the game react if I tried to load in the entire finished map all at once? If the game can't handle this, then loading a map that's completely covered in trash cans would probably be impossible. This meant that I was in the exact same situation as before. If I left the server, I wouldn't be able to see my progress ever again. Except this time, it's much worse. My progress is there, but I wouldn't be able to ever use it. This was not going to go as planned, but for some reason, this didn't stop me. I still wanted to do this. I had to do this. I left clues for a reason. With my alt account on standby and my mind in the right place, it was time for round 2. "12 hours. It was supposed to be easier. It was supposed to be quicker. But no. It was almost one-to-one, the exact same process and experience as my first attempt. But this time, I didn't have to walk back and forth like an idiot. Of course, the trash cans stuck to their usual behavior of taking forever to load in, and I did almost disconnect. I had a few close calls, but luckily, it was fine. I even got a little brave and decided to use an AFK chamber, similar to the one that caused me to accidentally delete everything the first time. But it was finally over, and the end result is just incredible. This is something that you're only gonna see once, a true wonder. And in all honesty, it was worth it. I was talking to Laughability, and he made possibly the best comparison I think I'll ever see. This sea of trash cans looks exactly like the thumbnail of the most iconic Veritasium video ever made. It is such a good comparison. It's perfect. I bet you're curious as to how many trash cans are here. How many are there, actually? I tried figuring it out, and according to this Roblox part stat, it's 96,000. I didn't believe that from looking at the maps, so I ran it by Aspector, one of the developers. He added a button that displayed the amount of trash cans, and sure enough, it said 96,000. Even if this number is accurate, I know that it's lower. Quite a lot of the trash cans doubled up and stacked inside of each other. The process was much more streamlined, but it wasn't perfect. To get the most accurate number possible, I counted the length and width of the trash cans individually, right up against the rough edges. 295 by 255. Multiply those together, and you'll get 75,000. If you include the rest of the trash cans, the number is probably around 80,000. The 96,000 figure is inflated by nearly 17,000 double-stacked trash cans that were placed by accident. All of this to say, the rough total number of trash cans you need to cover the entire map is around 80,000.
Yo, what is this, bro?
What do you think?
Yo, I'm not even trolling. It took me like a good 2 minutes to load in. Bro, if my PC blows up, I think you owe me a new one, bro. Wait, you can pick them up? Okay.
Oh no. Hey, calm down, calm down. Calm down. Stop! Stop! Calm down.
Bro, there's a furry on the loose. Furry on the loose.
You're gonna make him do it again. Shush.
I like
demon,
this. This is fun.
You know what else is fun?
No! Stop!
Oh my god, this is beautiful. Holy crap,
Right,
you're a
right.
genius.
You should probably make the most of it, because the second I leave, this is basically gone forever.
You're not leaving.
What?
You're not leaving.
Well, who are you to say that?
Yo, Demon, tell him he's not leaving, bro.
You-
Look
you
at this
can't-
masterpiece.
that's
Bro, look
not-
at this masterpiece you created, bro. You can't just show us this masterpiece and then be like, I'm a dip.
Oh!
Well, you should do the railgun.
Yeah, I was gonna do the railgun.
No way, there's no way, bro. There's no way.
Oh my god.
Alright, Demon, your time is now, buddy.
Oi, oi, oi.
Alright, let's go pause, bro. Pause.
Oh my god.
Stoic bomb, okay?
Bullshit.
Stoic bomb.
Oh,
Uh-oh. Okay, well that's the Stoic bomb hitbox, if you were ever curious. I'm surprised nobody's crashed yet. This is actually insane.
I'm surprised I survived that, bro.
Yeah,
like,
like-
my PC just froze.
Dude.
I don't know what happened, bro.
He crashed! He
Oh,
actually
Demon's
crashed!
Why is he like... Hey, man, lock in, bro.
Did he just crash again? What the
Okay.
hell's going on?
He just crashed again. If we ever do like a hide and seek or something in this map, bro, this is like peak.
Yeah, it's perfect until you get like that, and then now your hiding spot is nothing. Like, what hiding spot are you talking about? No, what are you doing? No. Oh my gosh. And now it's just fine. Hey, swear on your life you will not use your awakening again.
I won't.
Okay.
Alright, before you do this, bro, I just want to go ahead and just take this chance to like remember. Yeah, just do it, man.
Oh.
That's not even lagging.
No, just hold on. Just give it a sec. See?
Okay, never mind. I think it's wraps.
No. Hold
I think it's
on.
wraps.
Hold on. Just give it some time. See? It's kind of hard
Yo.
to see what's going on, but just give it some time. Wow, that is a crazy shot. And that's it.
wait, do it this direction.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Ow. Oh, no, not again, bro. My PC. I can't even close the. I can't see anything. Oh my god.
He crashed. I decided to host a 10,000 Robux test tournament to see how other players would interact with the map. It was terrible. The lag was so bad that it ended up incapacitating basically everyone. The tournament itself was a complete mess. This guy right here ended up victorious, and I went to please donate to give him the winnings. Wait. Oh shit. Remember when I said that I was operating under the assumption that once I left the server, my progress was lost forever? Yeah. It took me like 10 minutes to realize the mistake I made. Oddly enough, I wasn't mad. I felt like I had done everything I wanted to do. Might as well try to load up the map then. Why is it not lagging? There's no way. What the fuck?